Hey, what's up, guys? It's my first YouTube video. Just making something that I think is commonly overlooked. Is a silencer repack for a two-stroke here, my 2003 RM250 that you see there. So it's going to be kind of a point of view, everything that goes into it. I cut a lot out of it. Took me about an hour from start to finish, but we're gonna go through this. So first things first, I'm gonna take the side plate off, get access to getting the actual silencer taken out. A couple bolts here, easy peasy. This thing just slides out. So we get the side plate off, go into, get the two bolts that hold the silencer on. The bottom one had a nut on the back side. So you see here, I've got probably a 10 millimeter on the nut on the back side. Just gonna take that off. Silencer, pretty easy, slides out. There's a rubber grommet at the bottom of that you see there. And there we go. Silencer's out. A little gunky on the inside, so when I bought the bike, when I traded for it actually, the guy said that it was running really rich, which it was, super rich. The jetting was way off. I ended up putting a Electron carb on it. So the main thing that I'm doing here is just making sure that the silencer packing isn't just completely soaked in oil, which over the years, or I mean, depending on how often you ride, this thing needs to be taken care of. You know, performance loss. They sound really raspy and really loud and kind of obnoxious for these two strokes. And I wasn't sure when the last time this thing was done, so that's why we're gonna go ahead and get her refreshed. And going into the wintertime here, probably won't be riding a whole heck of a lot, but the idea is just to make sure to maintain this two-stroke, and it's always running good. So when we get a nice day here in Kansas, we can go and rip this thing out. So I'm really big on cleaning a lot of stuff, working in a clean environment. Make sure that there's not going to get any dirt anywhere that you don't need it. Now, the silencer is probably not that most important thing that is going to get dirt inside of it, but it's always good to work in a clean environment. So depending on the silencer that you have, there's a couple Allen bolts at the back of this thing. So I had 3 that I had to take out. Some of them, the tip, the other side, the tip comes out. It just depends on your model or whatever that you're using on your dirt bike. So these 3 come out fairly easy, honestly, but there was no Loctite or anything on there. So you see later in the video, make sure to put Loctite on these things, because two strokes specifically vibrate really bad. So you want to make sure that you don't lose bolts on the track and your silencer comes apart while you're actually riding it. So here I got just a small little dead blow hammer out. It kind of pops out. If it was done correctly, there's usually a bead of silicone or something around the tip of there that might keep it glued in, but a couple firm hammers and comes out. I'm also big on using gloves. As you see here, the silencer packing is going to be soaked in oil. 4-stroke's a little bit different, probably not so bad. Whenever I did 4-stroke, it was always just blown out, like there was less of it there. On 2-strokes, there's always oil. So you see there, we have a little bit of silicone that I was saying earlier. So This is just opening up and seeing how bad this silencer packing was up in here on the inside, which overall it's pretty well soaked on the outside, but the inside, you're kind of looking to make sure it's not burnt or anything like that. So just discard that off to the side, throw it away. I never use it as a template because sometimes, depending on who did this last, it could be wrong. So you'll see later in the video also that I cut mine down just using the silencer itself. Some people like using the packing, and it's personal preference, I guess. So the next thing is this inner core. Make sure that all those holes are cleaned out, all this dirt and grime and stuff and everything else that's you can clean out pretty easily is just clean it up and get a wire brush and take a wire brush to those holes and make sure that all that exhaust soot and that the black stuff that's in there is just cleaned out. You don't want any of those holes covered up. So you'll see I get a wire brush here and start cleaning it up real well. So doesn't take much, just 5 or 10 minutes just to clean that stuff out and call it a day. The other thing that I've seen other people do is you can take brake cleaner or some kind of solvent and soak it in there too, but I didn't do that. It didn't seem that bad on mine this time around. So if it's ever really gunky and really bad on the inside there, you can clean that out with maybe some air nozzles and air pressure with some brake cleaner. There's not much more coming out of this. I kind of get the inside here too, just a little bit on that tip. You can see it was maybe the worst part about the whole thing, but overall, honestly, the packing and the inside of the silencer looked pretty good to me, so I was pretty happy with that. So next here I take and kind of wipe out the middle of the inside. It's kind of hard to see on the video. It really wasn't that bad on the inside, but again, you just want to make sure you get everything out and you don't leave anything to chance of, making it harder to put back together first and foremost, that's get all that old silicone, but you just don't want a whole bunch of dirt in there. It always affects things later on. So here's the new packing. Tusk packing. It's again just personal preference. I think packing doesn't really matter a whole lot of what brand you go with. I know FMF makes some really good packing for their silencers. Pro Circuit. This Tusk brand, it's pick your poison. I don't think you're gonna notice a difference between the two or the 3 or 4 that are out there, but this stuff actually came with the bike, so it made it easy. I just had it on hand, and so here we have me measuring it, kind of making sure that at the end of it, you see me measuring this thing up and see where that core goes through. So at the end of the tip, and most silencers are kind of different on this, at the end of the tip, you kind of want to overlap it a little bit. So see that there's a core that goes through the tip a little bit, but so you want to overlap it all the way back to the where the screws are at to hold it in. So just measure it, cut it off. Not an exact science. But you obviously don't want to just mash a whole bunch of extra packing where you don't need it. So make a good straight cut and then just start folding it over and getting it fairly tight. Now you don't want it like just so smashed in there that it can't breathe, but at the same time you're going to get it fairly tight on here. You know, use the edge of your workbench like I'm doing here, kind of roll it off to the side. It makes it a lot easier with the tip on there. And then I actually like using you know, a couple strings of painter's tape here. So I get this blue tape out. Now don't tape the whole thing. It's more or less just to hold the packing, so it's like a third hand, if you will. So I usually just do one layer of tape. You don't need a lot. And in fact, you'll see me later on, I'll take the tape off that is kind of preventing me from putting the packing in there just a little bit. See, I go around about 1.5 times, and it's just holding it really well. Then you kind of force that down a little bit into the packing, or force it down into the end. Yeah, I think I end up taking this tape back off because it's just kind of in the way. But what it does is it holds it a little bit better while you're trying to slide the packing all the way down into the body of your silencer. What you don't want to do is overly pack your what you don't want to do is overpack your packing where it's too tight. You kind of still want it a little loose. There's a fine medium between too tight and too loose. So once you get it started, it actually goes in relatively easy as you just work it down inside that tube. So you see there, it starts working in, and you grab it, pull it down, just work around the edge as you can, which is off camera now. You'll see I actually grab a flat blade, like a very blunt flat blade, to help kind of push that in at the very end. That way your fingers aren't getting stuck in there or anything like that, but kind of helps you push that whole thing down. This process is kind of tedious just because it's, new packing is there's a lot of friction on the outside, and it starts bunching up at the top, and just take your time to put it in and not get it all bunched up at the bottom of it, So now that we've got the packing all the way in, I pulled it out just a little bit just to show that bead. I've got some high temp silicone here, some gasket maker. So see, I pulled it back just a little bit. So you don't want to pull it all the way back out after you get the core in the tip there, because that was honestly, I cut all that out. It probably took me 15 minutes of trying to get that core lined up with the new packing. So you just put a bead of silicone around this. High temp RTV works, silicone, just to get it sealed up. Prevents water and anything else getting back there to kind of ruin the packing a little bit. So you take your finger, a little bit of spit helps. Get it all worked around Nice little thin bead around the whole thing there. Then a little bit of persuasion, the dead blow, knock it down a little bit, get it flush to where you can see the holes. And it get a little bit of silicone on my dead blow, and I have to clean that off, but you know, you don't want to really smack the crap out of it. You will dent most silencers. I've done that in the past, and it looks like crap. So, and here's, like I referenced earlier, putting some, just a dabble of Loctite, thread locker, whatever you have. Anything's better than nothing, in my opinion. That way, you know, you don't have these bolts just backing out on your left and right. So I always get these started, but not all the way down until I get all three of them in, because sometimes you might get one that's not, see that hole is not even lined up. So I jump over to another one and at least get it started. I grab a T-handle, get a little bit better force on there to get it lined up a little better. You definitely don't want to cross thread these. That's what I started doing there for a second. Felt it, backed it out. It's always better to take your time and, you know, make sure everything's lined up correctly before you start cranking her down. So I did tighten that one down, but I ended up loosening them all just a little bit. And then once it's all done, wipe all the excess off, and this thing's ready to go back on the bike. So I guess we jump right over to putting it on the bike, making sure all these things are tight, put the nut on the backside, make sure that rubber grommet goes on there just fine, and that it's not pushed back. And then put your side plate back on, and that's pretty much the whole process that I go through changing out silencer packing. I always like to clean things as I'm in there, you know, return it better than you found it. Good words to live by on a dirt bike as well as just in life. So I was like, whenever I have something open like this, just clean what you can, you know, wipe things down. That air box at the bottom of it, you don't get to it very often. So when you're in there, just wipe it down, make it better. You know, a little bit of preventive maintenance goes a long way. This kind of stuff, you know. I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but you know, the little stuff matters when it comes to making sure your bike runs good, sounds good, performs good. The more you touch it and you know, do things to make it run better, makes you feel better on the bike, makes you feel better on the track, and have more fun riding dirt bikes. So Hope you guys liked it. I'm going to put out a couple more of these quick little videos like this, POV, and yeah, thanks for watching.